discovered that the Earth was round, there were only about 4 people on the whole planet could do anything about that, and they had ships, you know. The rest of people didn't even learn it until 250 years later. Well, we've now discovered that we need to take care of our environment. But the environment is not just the soil that's 2 inches. The environment's 7 miles up and as deep as the ocean. It's that thin bubble around us that is what we have to fix or maintain or recover. It's called the biosphere. And we think, oh, 7 miles, it must be big. But the Earth, you know, is 8,000 miles, I think, in diameter. So it's a little bit like a brush of shellac on a bowling ball. It's very thin. And that's what's sort of disappearing, and why things are getting hotter and colder than we want them to, because there's no viscosity left in the biosphere. It's being damaged by too many chemicals of different kinds, obviously. So taking care of the biosphere, and that's when I realized, you know, so who's going to do that? You know, who's available to do that? Well, all the kids between 6 and 11, and in high school, yes, and some in college, yes, and people that are retired, yes, but who's going to do the heavy lifting? And then that's when I went, well, gosh, the Army's perfect for taking people out to the forests and planting not just more trees. By the way, the armies of 9 nations have planted 4 billion trees already. Funny, that's not in the paper. Don't know it. They're called the United Nations Blue Helmets. And they're going to plant 3 billion more this year. And so that'll bring us to 7 billion, which is 1 for every person on the planet. Unfortunately, to survive, we actually need about 20 trees per person. And grow a whole lot more hemp and other things to take the pressure off the trees for all the newspapers that we print. The Corps of Engineers in the Army has always taken care of the watersheds, and by the way, despite the people think Corps of Engineers is kind of a problem, they never had a dam fall down or a bridge break, as far as I know. We all had to learn about killing small animals in streams, but they could take care of the watershed. The Marines have tools which are amphibious, land in water, so they take care of the coastlines, and they take care of the coral reefs, and they take care of those waterways along the coasts where there's a whole range of birds and whatnot that live in the inland waterways. Navy protects against overfishing and scoops up all that flotsam that's out there in the middle of the ocean, scoop it up and bring it in to recycle it for, probably have ships that actually recycle it right in place. I think it turns into certain kinds of cloth. That's one use for styrofoam. It's very soft, kind of velour cloth. Air Force both has the view from above, which means they can track, with sensors, they can track all the sources of pollution on the planet and put them on the evening news, so we can monitor and patrol that. And they also have the heavy lifter aircraft to take refugee villages out. Within 4 hours, we have a system now in Oklahoma, 5 air bases, railheads, warehouses, where the collective heavy lifters in the Air Force can get to these villages in Lawton, Oklahoma, and take them out to the planet within 4 hours. That's just starting now. But we're expecting a lot of displacement of people. There's a lot of places on the planet where the water's just going to be poisoned one day, and all of a sudden very nice people are going to become very aggressive. And that's what the nature of the problem we're all going to face if we don't fix the planet first. So it's time to fix the planet now. The military forces have the perfect tools, already paid for, they have lunch, you know, they have all their tools. And by the way, I think they'd rather do that than bust into people's villages, if you know what I mean. So that's what Operation Noble Steward is all about. And we are jumping around, I appreciate that, but...
So when you're speaking about displacement, I guess it brings to mind the current, we're almost up on 2012 now, and some people are thinking Armageddon. Is that what you're talking about?
I have to go to my spiritual belief system here, which is God doesn't deal with deadlines. God knows what's up here. And when she thinks we're awake enough, you know, she, she will take the pressure off. And when we're sleeping, you know, guess what? Pop, pop, pop. So I think that's how consciousness works. I mean, why did we come here anyway? So 2,600-year cycle sounds good. Like from a spiritual point of view, you could create people who would go through a long cycle to pass through their evolution, their conscious awareness in an arc of time. So it could be that we're ending a logical phase of life. And then that when that's done, you know, another group of people comes back and takes the planet over. Who knows what the big scale, but right on this island we have seen the telescopes go from being able to see 2 or 3 planets out there to discovering billions of planets. Every star system makes planets. I think every sun, actually, star, when the hot gases come off of it, it spins the hot gas and dust up, and it turns into like a Christmas tree ornament. And those are the things we think of as being planets. We think they're full of dirt or something, but I think they're quite hollow. Otherwise, actually, they wouldn't stay gravitationally attached to a star. We have a lot to learn about that. We're pretty primitive about how the Tinker Toy set works. But 2012 is like the first opportunity that people on the planet have to say, we are one unified planetary civilization. We worship the same movie stars, we play the same sports, we eat the same food, all the sauces were ever made anywhere in everybody else's favorite kitchen. You know, we are connected by air, by land, by sea. Nobody is that different anymore. So why don't we know this? Well, because nobody's qualified to announce it. I'm announcing it. In case you hadn't figured that out yet, I'm announcing today that we're a unified civilization on this planet, have been for 30 years. So don't you think those institutions that we invented, we might have to reinvent them again? They didn't come with a package, you know. We made them up. And we can remake them, and we'll have to. So from the point of view of evolution, planetary unity coming into place, the fact we're all hooked up together, the internet being at least 10 times as effective as a democratic tool than any government. And we only created the governments because we couldn't communicate. We had to have representatives to help us understand things. So the internet shares resources, information, and opportunities uniformly throughout the planet without any slowdown. It's all direct. Perfect democratic tool. We don't need any more governments. It's fine to have supply depots so governments can break themselves up and move into bioregions, provide general support, highways and things like that. But they don't need to tell us whose God is right, you know, or who we need to fight next week because the bomb company hasn't made enough money making bombs. You know, you can see that's a cartoon that's out there, but we're ripe. 2012 is a good time to wake up. You know, it's a perfect time to resettle the planet, move back into the countryside, make a new partnership with nature, expand our economic system so that it has more range and is not run by a bunch of guys in Wall Street who print their own money, etc. It's time to focus our education on evolution, sensing the world, deciding better what's going on, not remembering that General so-and-so won the Battle of Gettysburg. So I'm sorry, not helpful. It does keep the teachers in business, but, you know, it's not quite there.